தானலவைங்கோஷ க்ஷேத்திரமிதில் வளர் தானெனும் மானமாம் தானிய உளுந்தை நானாரன் ஞான விசார திரிகையில் நானல்லவென்றே உடைத்து பொடித்து
ತನುವಿನ ನೆಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದ ಅಹಮ್ಮಿನ ಹುರುಳಿಯ ಕಾಳನು ಸುರಿಯೋ ನಾನಾರೆನ್ನುವ ಆತ್ಮವಿಚಾರದ ಬೀಸುವ ಕಲ್ಲಳು ನುರಿಯೋ
ತನುವನು ನೇಲನು పెంచిన అహమను ఉలవలు ధారగ పోసి నేనెవరిన నెడి ఆత్మ విచారపు తిరుగలి నందిడి విసురు
तन के खेत में उगे अहम के उरद दानों को लिए मन ही मन में कूटते जाओ आत्म विचार के बल से।
एकम अक्षरम हृदि निरंतरम भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् अहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मुच्यता आनचलनिरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तथ भावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयत कुतोऽवरधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मनो सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। नमो रमण। As usual, in the Thursday satsang from Ramana Maharshi Center, Kolkata, we will be reading from Guruvachaka Kovai, the work by Muruganar Swamigal. This is a work containing Bhagavan's teachings in versified form. There are over 1,000 verses written by Muruganar Swamigal and over 25 written by Bhagavan himself as original verses from him. There are 3 segments in the work. One is investigation into the truth, the other is meditation into the truth, And the last is experience of the truth. What we do is we select 2 verses and one by one, we, after reading the verse, a short meditation on the meaning of the verse will be followed by the practice of Atmavicharam, the practice of self-inquiry for about 10 minutes. That will be again repeated with other verse. This is from meditation on the truth. Each segment has over 50 subsegments. This subsegment is focusing intently on the source. Focusing intently on the source, verse 782. To investigate what is our birthplace and to merge in that birthplace is, of all methods, the best for rooting out the suffering that exists only in the place we have entered. I read the verse again. To investigate what is our birthplace and to merge in that birthplace is, of all methods, the best for rooting out the suffering that exists only in the place where we have entered. Now, this must be reference to the Piranda Veedu and Pugunda Veedu that is there. We will see there is a comment by Muruganar Swamigal and a reference by the authors. I read the comment by Muruganar Swamigal. Muruganar, miseries of birth appear only in the place one has entered. That is, the mind that manifests as the body and the world. They do not arise in the place of one's birth, the heart. Therefore, by enquiring through selfward attention, what is the place of my birth? A person should reach and abide in his source, the heart. Out of all the techniques that are suitable for destroying the miseries of birth, this is the best. The Ramana Paravidyopanishad, verse 520 is quoted by the authors. Just as a woman suffering intolerably in her father-in-law's house obtains peace in her mother's house, so the mind, harried by samsaric suffering, wins peace by returning to its source. So that is the reference that is given, but Muruganar Swamigal gives us the actual practice and what is the birthplace, what is the Piranda Veedu, and what is the Pugunda Veedu. Bhagavan is saying here to investigate what is our birthplace and to merge in that birthplace is, of all the methods, the best for rooting out the suffering that exists only in the place where we have entered. And in Aksharamanamale, Bhagavan says, Veedu vittu eerthula veedu pukku payyavun veedu kaatine arul arunachalam. Veedu vittu eerthu ula veedu pukku payyavun veedu kaatine arul arunachalam. The veedu vittu eerthula veedu pukku payyavun veedu kaatine arul arunachalam. From the house called the mind, we have to go to the house called the heart. And it is only by Arunachala's grace that this is done, that we are able to leave the world of suffering, where the Pukkagam, where we have unknowingly entered and felt that is our house, and Ulavid, into the heart. It is Arunachala who exists and shines there and drags us, like a cow being dragged by showing luscious grass, very tasty grass to it. Arunachala from time to time gives us his bliss gives us his happiness, gives us his joy through various practices of bhakti, of parayana, of atmachara. We get the taste, and slowly from the suffering of this pukkagam, it is said in the tradition in South India that from time to time the uh, the ladies who have got married and come to the husband's place, from time to time they will seek a redressal from the troubles by saying that we have to get back to our birthplace. பிறந்த வீட்டுக்கு போயிட்டு வரோம். And that is the reference here. And Muruganar Swamigal beautifully puts it. The miseries of birth appear only in the place one has entered. That is the mind that manifests as body and the world. It is we constantly live in the world called the mind. But does the mind allow us to remain as subtle thoughts? No. The mind, Muruganar Swamigal says, manifests as the solid body and the solid universe, the solid world in which we are trapped in the dimensions of time and space. And we are constantly thirsting and constantly in hunger. Whereas the real hunger is to get back to the self. The real hunger is to get back to the Piranda Veed. And in Atma Vidya, Bhagavan says that the easiest way, Kanmadi Kattavida, Janmadi Nashtameda, Emmargam Adaninum, Immargam Nikkadidi. For all the sufferings of birth and karmas to end, out of all the paths, this path is the easiest. And that is the reference in the verse. Out of all the paths, this is the best, says this verse in Guruvachika Kovai. In Atma Vidya, Bhagavan says, this is the easiest. Because Sonmanada Tanuvil, Kanmadi Siridilvi, Summa Amarndirka, Amma Agatil Anmajodiye, Nidanubhudiye, for the karmas and the janmas to end. And for us to return to the birthplace and constantly merge into the source. What is it that we have to do? Karmadi Kattavida, Janmadi Nashtameda, Yammargam Adaninu, Immargam Nikkadidi. This self-enquiry is the easiest. What we have to do in self-enquiry? Sol Manad Tanuvit Kanmadi Siridindri. It is to end our karmas that we seek self-enquiry. So why not the practice involve karma freedom? So Sol Manad Tanuvit Kanmadi Siridindri. No karma of speech, no karma of mind, no karma of body. You sit still. And when thought arises and the mind wants to get into action, you still it by asking, for whom is this thought? It is for me. Who am I? The thought is also stilled. The ego is also stilled. Summa amarndirka amma ahattil anmajutiye. This is the best path, says the verse in Guruvachika Kovai. This is the easiest path, says Atma Vidya Sankirtanam. So, with Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in Atma Vicharam, the best and the easiest path to get rid of the woes of the Pukkaham and to get back to our Pirandavidu, to get back to the place of birth and merge into that source. भगवते श्री रमणाय। We go to the reading of the second verse. This is once again from Meditation on the Truth, subsegment 37, rejecting as not this. Rejecting as not this. Verse 671. I am not the fleshy body, the prana, the vital breath that animates the body, the organs of action and cognition, nor the mind, intellect, and ego, nor am I the form of nescience, sleep, that is filled with dense, latent vasanas, and which is devoid of actions and objects of perception. The verse goes like this: I am not the fleshy body, the prana, the vital breath that animates the body, the organs of action and cognition, nor the mind, the intellect, and the ego, nor am I the form of nescience, sleep, that is filled with dense, latent vasanas, which is devoid of action and objects of perception. There is a quote from the first paragraph of Who Am I? The essay version is quoted here. Bhagavan. The five sense organs, Jnanendriyas, namely the ears, the skin, the eyes, the tongue, and the nose, which individually and respectively know the five sense knowledges, Vishayas, namely sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell, are not I. The five organs of actions, Karmendriyas, namely mouth, legs, hands, anus, and genitals, the functions of which are respectively speaking, walking, giving, excreting, and enjoying, are not I. The five vital airs such as prana, which perform the five vital functions such as respiration, are not I. Even the mind which thinks is not I. Even the ignorance of deep sleep, in which only the latent tendencies towards sense knowledges, Vishayavasanas, remain, and which is devoid of all sense knowledges and all actions, is not I. After negating as not I all that is mentioned above, the knowledge which remains alone itself is I. The nature of this knowledge is existence, consciousness, bliss. Now, this is the first question and answer also in Who Am I? It is said that Sivaprakash Pillai writes this in detail, that Bhagavan teaches directly the portion as that without reference to the Stula Sharira and Panchakoshas, Bhagavan directly takes one to the self. But Sivaprakash Pillai writes and Bhagavan does not object, and that is carried as the teaching. I personally have found this Panchakosha explanation very helpful, that the Annamaya Kosha is not I, the Pranamaya Kosha is not I, the Manomaya Kosha is not I, the Vijnanamaya Kosha is not I, and the Anandamaya Kosha is not I. To understand this has helped me a lot in sticking to Atma Ucharana. But David Godman, in a comment in this book, says that these are not necessary, that the explanation through the neti of Panchakoshas is not necessary. If one can understand that thoughts have to be eliminated, that is enough. And that view is confirmed in one of the talks where Bhagavan tells Yogi Ramaya. Yogi Ramaya asks to Bhagavan that should I eliminate the Panchakoshas one by one? Should I eliminate the Panchakoshas one by one? Bhagavan says, not necessary. You can directly go to the ego and take it to the source. That it is not necessary to remove the Panchakoshas one by one. So it is not that Bhagavan is teaching that one has to drop the attachment to the Stula Sharira, to the Karmendriyas, to the Jnanendriyas, to the Pranas, the Manas, to the Buddhi, and then the Anandamaya Kosha one by one. That is not what is intended in this verse. The teaching of Atma Vicharam is that all these are Manomayam Tad Bhuvanam Padam. All these upadhis arise only after thoughts arise. So Bhagavan goes to the root. As soon as the thought arises from the subconscious, from the vasana, and takes the form of a thought, don't pursue it with more thoughts. Let it go. Let it go and hold the eye and take it to the source. The beauty of that teaching is that out of the Panchakoshas, we may have proclivities in particular kosha, and Ishvara may decide to release thoughts in some order. One thought may be about the intellect. The next Vishyavasana may be about the gross body. The next Vishyavasana may be, oh, have I not controlled the breath properly? I should do pranayama from tomorrow. Now, therefore, Bhagavan doesn't order the neti of the Panchakoshas one by one. There are some sadhanas which do that. That one by one, the Stula Sharira is observed, the Prana is observed, the Manas is observed, the Buddhi is observed, and the fact that we do not know the cause of all this is observed, and one by one, by witnessing, these koshas are transcended. That is not what Bhagavan is saying here. That these have to be dropped, but the way to drop them is not one by one. The reason for that, according to me, my personal experience in that from a previous sadhana, is that if we drop one by one, then the ego claims to be a better person in that area. What I mean is, if I observe the Annamaya Kosha alone, and let us say I free myself of some vasanas related to Annamaya Kosha. Now, since the ego is not addressed directly, it now gets a new feeling. See how much better I am than others in this area. Suppose pranayama, and I am able to do some the prana related exercises better than before. If the ego is unattended, then the ego gets the accretion regarding that. That is the beauty of Atma Vicharam. The beauty of Atma Vicharam is that we understand how the Panchakoshas is not I, but we don't drop them one by one. The method is we wait for thought to arise from the Anandamaya Kosha, from the Vasanas. And when it takes shape, it may be related to any of the other koshas. The Anandamaya Kosha cannot be directly attacked. That is, the conscious ego, the conscious I, cannot directly penetrate the subconscious. So it has to wait at the gate of the fortress, Bhagavan says, and one by one the enemies will come out. And one by one we have to cut them. The order in which the enemies may come is not to be determined by us. One may be about Annamaya Kosha, one may be about Pranamaya Kosha, another may be about Vijnanamaya Kosha, but wait for that. As it takes shape, don't pursue it and enforce that vasana, but let it go. And ask for whom is this thought, take the I thought to the source. Again, wait at the gate of the fortress. If vasanas are still there, they will arise. Once all the vasanas are destroyed, thoroughly eliminated, then what Bhagavan says, that arivu, that consciousness which has eliminated all this as not I, is I. And the form of that, the swarupa of that arivu is Satchitananda. Bhagavan says, so this is the beauty of Atma Vichara. It makes us understand the relationship of the Panchakoshas, but it does not claim any credit for having eliminated any particular vasanas of any particular koshas. Because directly always the one who eliminates is attended. For whom is this thought? So suppose there is a claim. Suppose I claim, I am able to chant Om for much longer period now. Then immediately Atmacharam will ask, for whom is this thought? For whom is this thought that I am able to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya in a more extended with a prana control? Immediately the question will be addressed to the ego. For whom is this thought? I am able to chant better, and it will be taken to the source. But the performance of the task will be that all the vasanas related to these panchakoshas will be done as neti, 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 and the iti will be held. When somebody asks, is this neti, neti is what we have to do, and that is the final stage, Bhagavan says, the neti, neti is done only holding the iti. Only since the self is there, the practice of letting go is possible. So the undercurrent of Spurana is always present. The undercurrent of Spurana is waiting. And in talks it is said in many places that this Spurana is felt even in sadhana avastha. Even when we are going near it, we can feel the throb, of that Spurana as I, until one merges into that and identifies oneself with that which is transcendental, that which transcends all these as neti neti, beyond all the koshas. Till we identify with this Purana, we should practice Atma Vichara without claiming any particular benefit of having removed vasanas regarding Annamaya Kosha or Pranamaya Kosha or Manomaya Kosha. When those thoughts come also, now my sadhana is better. Now very less thoughts are coming in the mind. Now I am able to see myself more clearly in action. Those thoughts also should be worked on by asking, for whom is this thought? And the ego taken to the source. That is why self-inquiry is the most self-effacing, self-correcting sadhana that is possible. It is the Brahmastra. It doesn't allow the ego to collect anything, to raise as a form. And it always addresses the raising of the ego at its source and takes it back there. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in Atma Vicharam, where we understand how the Panchakoshas are layered, but we don't claim credit for having now gathered some control over any of those koshas, because any of those thoughts are also accretions in the mind and they could become vasanas. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in Atma Vicharam. As soon as a thought arises from the subconscious, from the vasana state, and it takes shape, one should not pursue it with more thoughts, but should diligently inquire, for whom has this thought arisen? The answer will be, this thought has arisen for me. And the quest, who am I, takes the I back to the source. And the thought that arose falls away. With repeated practice, Bhagavan assures, one gains the ability to abide in the source. Because the vasanas start getting eroded and there is no I left to be pushed anymore. One is able to abide in one's own nature of Satchitananda. Till such effortless abidance is realized to be natural, one should make the effort of letting go of thought and returning to the source. Let us sit in Atma Vicharam for 10 minutes. नमो भगवते The previous sadhana, I had practiced dropping of thoughts by witnessing. That was what I had learned. And since the ego was left unattended, I used to claim, because I used to have substantially thought free states, I used to claim that I am thought free. That since the ego was left unattended, I used to claim that, little realizing that the I thought is still persisting, I used to claim that I am thought free. Why are you not thought free? Like that. That's the beauty of Atma Vichara, that it doesn't allow the ego to rise and claim credit for any of the sadhana development.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, who shines as the self in all beings. What to say of the beauty of self-inquiry and the grace and glory of Bhagavan? Of course, while meditating, as Nandakumarji has pointed out, on the Panchakosha Viveka, Bhagavan, of course, says that the body idea is very central to this. More than emphasizing on the Panchakoshas, although he has mentioned them in Upadesha Saram, he says, Udal pori ullam uyir irul ellam jadam sattanadal deepara sattananalanla Vigraha indriya pranadhi tamaha naham ekasat tat jadam hi asat, he has said. And he starts, of course, with Udal. And in Ulladinarpada, he tells us that there is no world if there is no Udal. If there is no body, there is no world. Udal vittu ulahattai kandar ularo. Is there anybody who can see the world without a body? And he says also that to try to become aware of the self while holding on to the body idea is like trying to cross a river riding on top of a crocodile. So that much of a strong, the Naham Deham idea is there. Deham Naham is there even in the Muktakatrayam. But in that Deham, Bhagavan includes all the five. He makes us understand that they are not really separate, they are all one, and they are all embedded in the concept that one is a body. Although the body may be different, in dream there may be a different body, but so long as there is an I am the body idea, so to do the Deham Naham, in Bhagavan, of course, to Gambiram Sheshayar, he says, simply do Deham Naham, just set aside the body. It's only a corpse. Set it aside. But by the time Shiva Prakasham comes, just a little later, he feels more compassion for us. And he says, ask Koham. Find out, inquire, who am I? Because he realizes that we cannot set aside the body just like that. But when we ask, who am I? That question itself would have come to us obviously only after a doubt that I cannot be this body, or I am not this body. If I am having a conclusive feeling that I am this body, where is the question, who am I? There's no space for the question, who am I? So this is a preamble. The doubt that cannot be this body, therefore who am I, forms the background to who am I. However, again, as Nandakumarji pointed out, and Bhagavan also reiterates that though he says that this is very important, he also points out through giving the example of Yoga Vashishta, the story in Yoga Vashishta, Shikidvaja does all the austerities, which Chudala, his wife, has already got simply by abiding in the self. So she says, you have not dropped what has to be dropped. And he says, all that is left to drop is this body now. She says, the body has not done nothing to you, no harm to you. It is your identification with the body which has to go. And for that, self-inquiry is important. Otherwise, again, as was repeatedly emphasized in this class, we may get identified with any of the koshas without realizing it. Even the right up to Anandamaya Kosha is what Bhagavan points out in this story of Tripura Rahasya. In Tripura Rahasya, similarly, there is a king and a queen. Hemachuda and Hemaleka. Hemachuda is the king and Hemaleka is his guru, his wife and guru. He is directly receptive to her teaching from one point onwards, and he benefits from it, and he goes into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and she comes and wakes him up, and he asks her, why did you do so? Why did you wake me up? I was in bliss. And she says, if your bliss can go away by the mere movement of your eyelids, that is, you only opened your eyes, that's all. If your bliss can be disturbed by the mere movement of your eyelids, of what use is that bliss, she says? Of that state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it does not mean that one has to belittle or is belittling the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is, of course, a great possibility through grace only. But Bhagavan says it is not enough to stop there. It must become sahaja. And then he goes on to abide in that. Is that how the story goes? And once both Hemachuda and Hemaleka are abiding in the self, then everyone in that kingdom is abiding in the self. That is the beautiful end which we have to Tripura Rahasya. And that is the power of self-inquiry, which can take us beyond the subtlest of bondages that the mind may otherwise get trapped in, without realizing that this is also a linkage to the body idea. Without realizing that, we may be identifying with any area, with an intellectual area, with a physical area. Physical is very simple to identify, but some other areas are not so simple to identify. They are more difficult to cross over because of that. But self-inquiry constantly reminds us again and again, for whom is this idea, for whom is this thought, for whom is this attachment, for whom is this sense of victory over something, for whom is the sense of failure equally over something. Because they are two sides of the coin, right? We may feel thrilled also, we may go into despondency also. After some practice saying we are not getting, it is not possible, I cannot understand. When I say I cannot understand, in self-inquiry it doesn't matter, because understanding is only intellectual. The self transcends understanding, it shows. Inquiry shows us. And if I had understood, still it's not enough. So that when you understand that understanding is not enough, then not understanding, not knowing, everything loses its significance. Equally as a plus, the minus also. So one does not get caught in both the sides that the mind will play in order to keep us engaged in its very beautiful panorama, but far more beautiful is the self, the kingdom of the self. So, because that is the promise which Bhagavan is giving us, we can happily leave behind the wonderful play of the mind and get back to the self, get back to the home. However, see, in this instance, Muruganar Swami is talking about an uncomfortable Puhunda Veedu. But even if the Puhunda Veedu is a comfortable Puhunda Veedu, the love which a woman will have for her Piranda Veedu is something which cannot be explained or taken away, and the comfort which she will enjoy over there, because she will be perfectly natural. The point of the Piranda Veedu is that she is totally 100% natural and 100% taken care of. She doesn't have to do anything. So when we get back to our Pirandha Vidu self, we can be Sombiyai Summa Sugamundurangidil. That is the joy we can enjoy over there. Whether this is beautiful or not, we need not worry about it. We can be in that bliss ever, says Bhagavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.